Hi guys, welcome back to another week of MACS Chats. This week we're going to be talking about our favorite indie games. Maybe the ones we played the most, maybe the ones we played a ton when we were kids. So this week I am joined with...
Hi, my name is Shau.
And
I'm Yamca.
All right, so I'm going to throw to Shau first with just a basic, easy question. What is your favorite indie game?
My favorite indie game is probably To the Moon. It's an RPG maker game that, I think it came out in 2011. I was, really young when I played it, and I played it again, I think during COVID. And it was... I just love the story behind it. It's about these two scientists that try to help this dying man fulfill his wish of going to the moon, and they do so by going into his brain and changing memories in there so that he gets to go to the moon. And
That sounds really cute.
That is so... just a precaution, because any game that I mentioned today is probably not a game I've played, but a game that I've watched a gameplay of, because I enjoy that more than playing the game myself. And I watched To the Moon gameplays so many times when I was younger, and it was so hard for me to understand as a kid. But then I'd watch it again a few years after, and I'd be like, wait a minute, why am I crying? It's beautiful. I think, was it a pixel? Yeah, it was a pixel art kind of RPG game, which, will mostly be good most of the time.
Just pull the whole mic forward. Grab it from there and pull it right towards you. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Easy. So I have a question, because this is an RPG Maker game. Did we all play a lot of them as kids? Because I definitely did.
Again, yeah, I'd watch a lot. I wouldn't choose my own path, but I'd just follow through what the YouTuber gamers would do, and I'd be like, that's kind of funny, but I wouldn't have the balls to download the game myself, because I am on my brother's PC, and if I download the virus, it's game over for everyone.
Oh my! So what about you, Shao? Did you play a lot of RPG Maker games, or was this one a standout?
I think I also watched a lot of YouTube playthroughs of RPG games, but then I would get mad when they do things that I wouldn't want to do. And so then that would make me go and download the game, and then I'd do what I want to do. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I can definitely agree with that. I think, honestly, the marketing power of influencers is not oh, this game looks fun. It's you're doing it wrong. Please give me a go. So what particularly, how did you find this game? What drew you to it?
Oh, I think, the storytelling of that, the concept of trying to, because you learn about this man that, you learn about his whole life from, when he was, a little kid to, how he is now. And, he's, literally on his deathbed. And you see, his relationships with his family, his, wife. And, I don't know, it was just a very beautiful story. And I tend to lean towards story-driven games.
So what about... I was going to ask that. Is story the most important aspect then for you?
Yeah, totally.
So is there any, game... I've not played this game, or even actually heard of it, which is rare, because maybe I've just repressed all those 2011 RPG Maker memories. But, is there any real gameplay? Is it, turn-based, all the RPG Makers, or is it just kind of point-and-click experience the world?
It's very puzzle-based. There's a lot of, you have to there's a puzzle that's scrambled, and you have to put the pieces back together, and that unlocks the memory that you then experience.
What about you, Yamca? What do you like, either playing or watching? Is it the story that you're interested in, or is it gameplay?
The plot behind it. If the buildup of the story is really good, or if it kind of just makes me feel something, or if it's not just the I think it's basically how emotional it makes me feel. Or if it's because I also like a lot of horror indie games, which is a bit fun, because I was surprised you can do a lot of storytelling with horror. There's one that I saw that was about, it's called The Closing Shift. And it was about this girl who does a closing shift every night. But then as the game progresses, she finds out there's, she actually has a stalker, and she doesn't know. And the whole story is just, her trying to escape the stalker, only to find out that it's her boyfriend and that the stalker could be anyone and not just some stranger. So it had like really good storytelling and a really good build up of like the sort of plot twist, but also like it kept the like horror aspect of it really good. So I love that kind of stories. But also now that my attention span is like gone, it's so hard to get me into like a good RPG game if it's not like bang 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 interesting within the first 5 minutes of like the gameplay. Because I've seen like 2 hour gameplays and I'm like I can't do this. I used to do this when I was a kid, like every day, but now I can barely make it through the intro. So it's like, God, what's been happening now? But yeah.
What about you, Shau? Are you like a big horror fan? Because like there's definitely 2010s indie games where they were all either like Slenderman rip-offs or they were like RPG Maker creepypasta games. Like
I love horror, and the thing with like horror games is like I don't like playing it by myself. So for for horror stuff, I usually just watch like PewDiePie or someone like play.
Same.
And I think he played another RPG game called Crooked Man, which is like really, really good as well. But yeah, horror games, unless I'm with a friend, I don't tend to play it by myself.
So let's throw to you then, Yamca. What was your favorite indie game?
I don't know when it was released, but it's a game called Before Your Eyes. It's a lovely game where it's kind of a silly concept because they do this like facial recognition thing at first where they scan your whole face, but the game is like you start off your character, it's like a first person like point of view, and your character starts off as like a young boy, but every time the system recognizes that you blink your eyes, it just like cuts a bit forward into his life. So I'll be like 5 years old, and the next time I blink, I'm like 7 years old. I'm in the playground, and then I blink again, and I'm like 10 years old, and I'm in high school. What's going on? 10 years old is not high school. Sorry, that's a bit scary.
Is this Yamca really like a secret genius? It's like
in another life, I guess. But it sounds like a very simple game at first, but then I watched it, and it was such a beautiful concept because it just shows you that time does fly fast. But I think particularly the story of the character was just a bit sad, but you just know how much a person is loved, but it also goes by so fast that you don't really remember it until like you're kind of at the last stages of your life. Just kind of sad, but
gives you a little bit of an existential crisis.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Like that whole game did give me an existential crisis. It's the kind of thing that's like make every moment last, but then it also just showed the good balance of like how fast time goes and how important that is, despite like you want to remember everything in life. And I think I found out about it because like surprise, surprise, TikTok was like, it was in that same format where they show like those brain rot, like movie clips with like Family Guy under it. I don't know how that happened, but I was like...
This is like a heartfelt, existential, like story-driven game. This is not like,
with
this is not somebody's like mobile app like ad with a Family Guy clip. Like, what a weird combo.
That's why I was like, wait, I'm so invested in this. And then I found out it wasn't like a show or a movie. It was like a game. And it was like somebody playing it. So I was like, okay, I'll save this for later. And then I watched it and I was like bawling my eyes out. I was like, guys, who told like nobody told me this was part of the plan.
Have you heard of this game, Shau?
Yeah, I have. It is so good. I also saw it on. Well, I watch YouTube a lot more than I do TikTok, but I saw it on YouTube as a like someone was playing it, and it was so nice. But I was getting so angry every time they kept blinking because I wanted to know what was.
That is the bad part about watching gameplays for that.
I noticed Netflix had, because Netflix does like games, like so they actually
that there?
Yeah, they do. And so I downloaded it.
Netflix can like watch your blinks, like
I don't know. I got the game from Netflix and I played it, but it is really hard to not blink, and so then I got frustrated mid-game and I was like, I can't.
That is the concept. Like when you know you want to stay there for longer than you want to, but you're
like cracking your knuckles, putting eye drops in, getting ready to play.
That's the thing, like all the gameplays, I've watched like at least 4 different people play that game, so like seeing the story is just they like some of them will purposely try to be like, let's go, let's keep our eyes open. But some of them are like, oh, accidentally blinked. Oh, accidentally blinked.
Yeah.
It's like, are you even trying to play the game? Because like, I don't get it. And this gameplay is like, some will run for like 2 hours and then the other one's like an hour 30. It's like, what could have happened in this 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, I have to find out. That's why I found like 4 different gameplays because I was like, I cannot play this myself.
Trying to,
But
like,
I will
piece
watch
together.
but I will watch 2 hours of it instead.
So there's quite a lot of indie games like that. This isn't my favorite game. I've done a kind of bad move when I've asked you a question I don't have an answer to myself. I could not think of one. But the last game I like that's really simple that was like unboxing. Have you guys played or unpacking? Yes.
Oh, yes. That should make me cry so hard for no reason. I love that.
It's like super similar in the way it's like, I guess like little vignettes and then you kind of move on to the next one that tells a kind of subtler story. Is that a kind of story structure, I guess, like genre that you're interested in? Do you like they hit you hard?
Like, yeah, it's more of like not really the whole like how do I say this? But then it's just about living life, like making it seem like a life worth living all over again. It's just like, oh yeah, it's actually nice to be alive right now, rather than seeing all this like pollution, we're gonna die, oh, everyone's like corrupt. But these games are like just so fun to be like, oh yeah, I could cry if I find a little picture of me and my mom at the back of my closet and be like, oh yeah, I haven't seen this in a while. I start crying because like I just find stuff like that. And in the game of like unboxing, it was like small details wherein like I think at one point character moves in with her boyfriend and you can kind of see that like a lot of his posters and like pictures are taking up the wall, but the main character's diploma is like hidden under the bed and it gives you no choice to put it anywhere else but under the bed. So it is like so sad.
The only other place you can put it is like above the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? It's like small details like that. It's like, wait a minute, they're trying to tell me something. And it's like, I love how strategic they are, especially with how many tiny pieces that game has. And it's like, they put every effort into like making sure we understand the story well with every part of the game. And it's like, wow, they made all of this? Like, what? And I enjoyed it.
The concept of art is like so crazy, right?
I just discovered a game. It's like, what? People make this so people can have fun?
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the things I like about indie games a little bit is, I don't know, the stories kind of have more impact. Let's be a media student, some like meta awareness of like it being one, like, or a small team or one person's like wanting you to feel a certain way and like doing their hardest to like, this is the story I want to tell. I don't know. Just like, I don't know, grabs me more than big multi-million-dollar like video game number 12 that's all the same, you know?
Dark Souls.
Well, yeah, well, like, it's weird that like I can watch like some crazy cutscene. I was watching somebody play like, what's the Hideo Kojima one? Death Stranding, which is like, it's just crazy. It's basically a walking simulator, but he's like sponsored by Monster and there's like babies in like jars and stuff. And it's like, they have like 40-minute cutscenes and I'm like, yeah, no, this makes me feel nothing, but like the same cup being in 4 different scenes of like a thing, that hits hard. Did you play Unpacking or
I
similar
did.
games that you played?
I played Unpacking with my flatmate and we started it off as like, oh, it's just a fun little unpacking game, and then it's weird because there's no like dialogue, but then everything's told just by how you put like things where they are or where they don't belong. And I don't know, we started talking about like, oh, how it must feel like to have somebody not make space for you versus someone that like opens it up. And like, I think she dates someone else later on in the game where like she can put her stuff everywhere, like it's not blocked off. And I don't know, we had a lot of discussions after that about like, I don't know, like the game in general.
Well, I think you've both brought up an interesting thing, whether it's like watching other people play or you've like mentioned twice now playing games with like other people. Is there like a communal aspect to this? Do you guys like talking about this, or like either whether it's like YouTube comments or it's like people in you like that is this like playing with other people something that's common?
I play, like when I do play games, it's always with someone, or like I like having someone watch when I'm playing. It's just because when something fun happens or something interesting happens, we can both like, it's kind of like a movie. We both like look at each other and be like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? And they can talk about it afterwards. I like that aspect. And then when like we're watching on YouTube, we can go down the comments and like see people give their like thought pieces on what happened or like the meaning behind it. And it's really fun for me to read.
What about you, Yamca? Do you play games with other people, or do you interact with like the community around like the video game that you're watching?
I think when I was younger, I did try to download like this horror game, and I was like having the same idea that like, oh my gosh, I should play this with my friends so we could all be scared together. But then like it was 3 of us, and then one of us like had the reins and was like controlling the whole thing because it is like a 1-player thing. And she was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I give up. Like, I don't want. And I was like, we're all here to be scared. Like, come on. Like, I'll do it. And then when I started playing, they were like, they just lost focus. And then they were just like checking their phones. I was like, hey, this is kind of lame, guys. 'Cause, like, or sometimes they'll try to be like really cool about it. They're like, that wasn't even scary. Like, that was kind of boring. And I was like, babe, like, it's a game. Can we enjoy it? It's such a party pooper moment, which I think I'm like really unlucky because I'm pretty sure it is fun to play with people. I think I just found the wrong people to play with. But yeah, I think like after that, I've just ended up watching like YouTubers because it's like, yeah, on a screen. I'd be like, that's so fun, friend.
It's like that one meme of like the person sitting on the ground next to like an advertisement. It's like, this is what podcasts are like, and it's them like laughing with the stock image.
Yeah, just like, yeah. No. Me and my best friend PewDiePie, like, we play games together all the time.
Yo, my friend PewDiePie recommended this. Like, you should get it. No, I honestly, I did similar things. The last game I played the demo for. Oh, I'm ruining my notes already. There's like an upcoming indie game that's called like Beastie Ball, which is like a kind of Pokemon-ish thing, but mixed with like volleyball or netball. Whoa. I don't remember. It's like, so it's really cute. And they released a demo, and I have a friend that's like played games, but was also like a state level like volleyball competitor.
Oh my goodness!
And it consumed his life. We were like, oh, download this.
That's how you know it's working, because like if someone who's not into games completely gets into it, it's like, whoa!
It was like a 2-hour demo, and I like it was like 9:00. I'm like, yo, like put this on. We're waiting for something else to download, and then it was like 1 a.m. and I left, and I woke up at like 8 a.m. and he was still playing it, and there's nothing left in this game, and he's like, yeah, I just like it.
It's my 5th replay, guys.
Yeah. No, I think it's really I don't do it a lot, like playing with other people, but I do think it really requires like the right person as well.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine doing that for like a AAA game either, though. Like, I don't know, like getting your friends around to like play a kind of crappy, intentionally or not, like indie horror game, like itch.io, like I think it's an enjoyable experience. Like actual good horror game, I'm like, no. It's like watching B movies versus just watching like a good one, you know?
Watching a good B movie.
Yeah. So next question then, around the horn. What's the indie game you think you've played the most then? Or watched the most?
I think I've watched the most would be, again, a horror RPG. I think it's called like Witch's House. Do you know? Anyways, now I'm gonna sound crazy, but it is like in the same kind of style that To the Moon is, and
I think it's like another RPG Maker game.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it in a way that doesn't sound lame, but it is just a witch's house, and it's just like you play as this little girl trying to navigate her way through this like spooky house maze that she finds. But they're all full of like traps. You get chased by a skull. You get your hand sliced off, and you just like kind of get like have to retry the whole game until you make it to the end. But it's definitely does not have anything as moving as the previous games we were talking about. Like in terms of the plot, it does have like a good plot twist, but it's nothing that like made me emotional or cry. It was just like a really good game that I enjoyed. Strangely, and I was like 12 years old, and I was like, yes, blood.
I know, because I haven't played this game, but I've actually, like, the first screen of the game I've seen, like, I think there's definitely a wave of, like, YouTubers playing this game. I think it's one of, like,
yeah, it was, like,
the
everyone.
like, seminal RPG Maker games. Like, no, this brings back definitely some repressed memories, I think, as well. So, like, don't be afraid of the cringe. Like,
I loved it.
what about you, Shau? Did you have a game that you've, like, played the most by far?
I think probably Undertale. Like, I just because there's so many different ways you can play the game, and so I've never actually finished the one where you do like complete like kill everyone and then you have to fight Sans, because I've made it up to that point and then I just give up because I cannot defeat Sans.
Valid.
Yeah, and so I've watched like YouTubers defeat Sans, and I'm like, I wish that was me.
Do you want to shuffle just a touch to your right? Like, that way. Yeah, so then the mic is, like, closer to you because the table's, like, curved weirdly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this good?
Yeah, no. And, like, twist it around a little bit. Yeah, perfect. That's good. Sorry, like, it's really weird. The mics don't pick up the way you think they would. No, thank you. All right.
What's that?
Back to the topic. So, did you I've never done a genocide run either, which is like that. But, like, I think I finished one like playthrough of Undertale, and I was like, I like this, but there's definitely people that consumed their life. So was that one of you? Like, were you one of them?
I think I was. I might have. I think I've moved on now, but I know there was a period of my life where I had the, like, what is it? Metatron's theme was my ringtone.
Lovely.
I had like
Can we get a copyright strike? Like,
I had like my wallpapers all set to like Undertale characters. It was a whole thing, but yeah, it was a really fun game, and also like just a really good story.
Yeah, I love the story. Because I was about to go deep into the fandom, and I was like, wait, this is kind of dangerous. It's like,
we're tempting you. You're like, oh, I don't want to
Yeah, I
sound
was
a bit
like,
cringe, and we're like dangling Undertale in front
stop
of you.
it, guys. They're like, it was like dangling a carrot in front of my horse face, girl. I was like, oh, I want that so bad.
So, by the way you screamed, I'm gonna say you played a little of Undertale as well, right?
I did get to that same part where I was like, okay, Santa's here. It's time to stop playing the game, like, forever. I was like, I made it this far. That's good enough.
I'll watch the ending on YouTube or something, right? Like,
Yeah, of course, I watched the ending on YouTube, but it was a lovely game because I did think it was like some silly fighting game, but I mean there is like a lot of like theories about the character of the game. I think you know how there's like an alternative.
Yeah.
Like I never understood that. I was just like, hey, he's a cute little guy. He made it. Like that's as far as it goes. But there's just like the very famous quote, the one where he's like looking at himself in the mirror and it's
Despite
like, it's you.
yeah.
And then at the end of the game, it's like, despite everything, it's still you. And I was like, that's so cute. I'm going to think about this for like forever. Like, it was so easy.
Every time I close my eyes to go to sleep, that'll bubble back
now
up.
it's everything I think of. Like the impact on like, on it as like a game and like as a fandom is like insane, because like to this day I think there are like some remnants of Undertale going on, like the Tumblr sexy man. Have you seen those polls, the Tumblr sexy man polls that happen like every few months? And I think like San has been like the reigning winner. That's how I remember. That's like, oh, he's still like up and running, which is a bit concerning.
I have to ask then, did you guys like get into Undertale when it came out, or was it like a little bit later, or was it like with the hype around like right when it like first kind of released?
I have no idea. I think I only just like found out about it on YouTube, like when people started playing it.
Yeah.
But I think I got into that first, and then that's when I was like, oh wait, there's like a whole fandom going around. Like, why are you shipping 2 skeletons? Like, what's going on? 'Cause I was like 13.
So what drew you to this game? Tumblr and
Tumblr,
many questions about what they're
saw,
doing on
like,
there.
I saw 2 skeletons. I saw a fan art of 2 skeletons. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, huh?
What about you? Did you get into it like at release as well?
No, I think I got into it probably a while later. I think because I don't think it was that popular at release, and then it sort of had a blow up a little later. I think that was around the time I went and checked. I can't remember who was PewDiePie or Jacksepticeye, one of the people. I watched their playthrough of it, and I was like, oh, okay, I want to try that. And then, yeah.
So I do have a question then. Are you guys excited about like Deltarune? Have you kept up with like the game that he's releasing afterwards? No, you've not, but you have?
Yes.
All right.
What's next?
I don't know. He was releasing it as like episodes or chapters, but like completely intermittently. I think like one came out and it was like 2 years and then another one.
Because it's just him and a very few people, so it comes out in like 2 years by 2 years, I think.
Whoa.
And I think we're at the final chapter now, or we're close to like the ending, but he hasn't released or updated anything like that. So, but Deltarune's really interesting too. But I think that I might wait till everything's out to play it because I don't have the.
Wait, same though. I have that same mindset. It's like I'd rather wait years than be like, I'll watch the first chunk now and then just like edge myself until like the next time. It's not my style.
Yeah.
So you've not played it at all, but you might like have heard it a little bit.
I've seen like clips here and there, and like people being like, "Oh, Deltarune is Undertale spelled differently." So,
guys, this means something. Yeah. Sandy's under my bed. Like, let's calm down. Like, what if it's not even that?
It's a bunch of like 20 and 30-year-olds now. It's like just brings back a part of their childhood, a character like archetype they've repressed. Oh my god. So I want to ask that question then. It's a little bit different when you were talking about you play mainly like story-based games. What genres are you guys like interested in? Are they all like RPGs, or do you guys like your like visual novels and your like slightly different like indie game genres?
I think mostly I do enjoy RPG games because it is like kind of a movie, like for me when I watch. So it's just like a continuous gameplay, and then like by the end of it, it's like, okay, I have an ending technically, but then I think like other RPG games I like are those like kind of cozy games they like to promote, like kind of Stardew Valley vibes.
I've been playing people in like my like partner's friends were like, I want to get Stardew Valley, everyone get it, we can have like a thing. And I was like, cool, I'll buy you a copy of Stardew Valley. And then they've not played Stardew Valley because I've been playing Stardew Valley like instead of doing any and all work.
It's a trick. I bought it for myself.
Yeah, it's like, happy birthday, it's a gift for me. What about you, Shau? Did you have like a genre that you like called out to you, or?
I think it's also just any games that are like multiple different endings and like you get to pick how it goes. It's not really an indie game, but like stuff like Detroit Become Human, like I like that kind of style where there's like a good ending, a bad ending, stuff like that. And then I think RPG games, like I know they look like they're just like tiny little pixels, but like there's so much story in them, and like I don't know. Yeah.
All right, then I'm going to ask you the follow-up question is, what are your thoughts on Stardew Valley then?
I've played very little of it. I think I just don't have the patience to farm and like do all those things. Like you have to, I don't know. It feels so repetitive, and I don't like repetitive games.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's part of me that's like, I don't know. I hate repetitive tasks, but if there's a repetitive task that's like just right, like my ADHD takes over. I'm like, that's all I'm doing. I've spent a week just fishing in Stardew Valley. Like I haven't done anything else. It's genuinely a problem. So, though there's like an entire epidemic, maybe not an epidemic, that kind of sounds bad, but like cozy indie games is like, because of Stardew Valley and I guess like the success of Animal Crossing as well, there are just so many of them. Do you guys play any of them or watch any of them? Are cozy games interesting to you?
I think I don't tend to watch people playing cozy games because it's just like, it doesn't feel fun for me because I'm not experiencing it, like, which sounds weird, but then it's like, it's cozy for them, but now I'm just like getting FOMO because what the heck am I doing here? Because it looks fun for them to decorate their little house, but that's not how I do it. So, but yeah, with all the like, ever since like Animal Crossing and like Stardew Valley, I think the competition for cozy indie games has been like insane because like there are so many like I don't know like title specific games, but there are so many like kinds of recommendations I've seen on TikTok that are like, hey guys, play this cozy game where you own a boba tea shop, and it's like this is so fucking random, but like of course they'd make something like that.
What's absolutely terrible is I know exactly the voice you're trying to. I'm like, there's not one creator, but it's the same vibe, and the games, there's obviously a lot of like work and effort put into them, but it's literally always like magic, and then it's like at Mad Libs of like town, school, farm, like shop, and then it's like
you're either a witch or a student, or
and then they're like, but there's a secret dark story and also a dating aspect, and you're like, cool, they like check off all of the boxes of these games.
Dude, sometimes they don't even have that dark twisted.
And I felt like a lot of ads have implied it, and you go, is that part of the game yet? And they're like, no, we have to write that. It's still in early access.
No, you have to pay extra $50 to access that. Sorry. Well, yeah, because like I've seen, like my friend tends to send me a lot of those TikToks because I told her once that I play Animal Crossing, and she was like, you should play all these other Nintendo Switch games, and I was like, no thanks.
That's
like,
weird to me as
sweet,
well.
But
that's weird to me because I'm kind of the way I think is like I've got people that have played I like no friends that played Animal Crossing every day since it came out for years, and I'm like, they don't really want another cozy game. They have the one they've got, right?
Like no offense, but everything's there. Like it's kind of hard to kind of like it is easy in a way to create like a cozy, like relaxing game vibes, but then it's just like so saturated in my opinion. It's like you own a cat shop, you own like a boba tea shop, you're a witch, you own a plant shop, and it's like it is fun like in my mind to own all of these shops, but it's like
I feel like you've got a career ahead of you of just like spitballing these like game ideas, because like everyone you say, I'm like, I've seen that, I've seen that.
So much. Or, like you live in like a beach, and it's just like it does sound fun at first, but it will probably last me like a day, and I'll be like, okay, I don't want to own this shop anymore. Like, let's close it down.
I feel like they're good. Like they definitely can be done good. Have any of you played like Spiritfarer? Or have seen?
I think it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of like on a boat with a bunch of like spirits, and you're building up a town and like fishing and doing little like plot points and quests, and it's very like character-y driven rather than like plot driven, but that's like a good one. But that's because I think people underestimate just how much work goes into like you've got like cozy gameplay, and then you need to like put so much work into making a story in a world. What about you, Shau? Have you been taken in by the cozy game epidemic as well, or
probably. Well, I don't usually play cozy games as much, but there was this game called Venba. I think it came out a year or two ago, but it's a cooking game. You play as a South Asian mom, and then you get to cook like all these different South Indian dishes, and while you're cooking, you are like trying to teach your son how to make these recipes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I've seen this.
And there's like a whole story about like immigrant families in Canada, and how like, you know, if you're an immigrant kid growing up, you kind of try to stay away from your culture because that others you. And then there's like a whole story behind that, which I was not expecting, because it looks like you're just cooking food, but then all these things happen like in the background. And yeah, I really like that game.
No, I saw this game, and then I forgot about it, and I'm like regretting it because I'm like, I swear this was on my like wish list at one point. No, this looks super good. Low-key, I think my first thoughts when I saw it was like, oh, Cooking Mama, and then I forgot. Like I think I saw one screenshot of like the actual cooking interface. My brain just went Cooking Mama, but like maybe I'll give it some more time. I mean, that you brought up an interesting point about like indie games and like representation. Is there anything for anyone here that like they like that indie games can tell different stories, or that there's like an indie game that had a bit of representation that like really like held on to you?
I think now I'm trying to get through a gameplay of like a Filipino developed game. I'm sorry, I like completely forgot the title. But it was like funny because like from the get-go there were no like settings to put the language in Tagalog. It was like all in English, and I was like, what? Girl, what do you mean? So it was a bit weird because a lot of the Filipino gameplays I'm watching through sounds really awkward because and it is dialogue heavy. So like they're reading every dialogue in English, and I'm like, this is so tiring. Like I kind of wanted to watch them play the game because I know dialogue in like Tagalog would be really fun to see in games and like how witty they could be. But hearing it in English sounds like kind of lame because they're like, "You're so silly." It's like, oh no one in the Philippines would say that. So it was like really weird, but it is again like an RPG game, and I think it was very touching to me because they put in a lot of like cultural details of like especially like in high school, the way you have to get up at like 5 a.m. and there's like one other person in class with you, or like how the sidewalks are like literally no space for you to walk in. There's graffiti on the wall, and I was like, yeah, that looks like home. Like I love it. They captured every single detail ever, and it was just really fun for me to see that they captured the life of what it's like in the Philippines very beautifully in a way that it's accurate rather than like just showing the beautiful pearly beaches of the Philippines and then like nothing else, which is like kind of what happens most of the time because people say, "Oh my gosh, I love the Philippines. I've been to their beaches." It's like, yeah, like of course you love the Philippines because you've been to their beaches. But yeah, seeing that game, I was like, I love that they accurately put everything together and like the culture of it. But again, I'm like not done with the game yet. So let's see.
What about you? Was there a game like you talked a little bit when you were talking about the cooking game just before?
Oh yeah, Venba.
Yes, I've lost it in my tabs. Is there other like representation, or is that something you look for in a game that you're like, this interests me because I can't get this kind of like representation elsewhere?
I don't think I go seeking it out. It more so like with Venba, it was just, oh, this is like South Indian like cooking, because like they actually do show you like the recipes and like you can actually do them. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then the story just came and I was like, okay, I actually didn't know that I relate to this so much because I'm like also an immigrant. And so I was like, oh, cool. But then I mostly just look at when like looking at games that are coming up, it's always, is there a story to this? Because I like to feel sad when
Vouch.
I was gonna ask, and I decided to hold my tongue earlier when you guys were bringing up like we love story-based games. I'm like, they're not happy stories. Like,
we didn't say what kind of stories.
No.
I love feeling sad when I play games, and then it makes me think about things, and I like that feeling. So that's usually what I look for. What was it? It's not, Stray. Like,
Yeah.
like it's a very simple game if you take away the story, but then you put the story in, and it's like, it talks about like pollution and like how that affects like people and like what would happen in a world where like everyone has died and all you have are like cats that I don't know, it's like cool concepts of like things that you wouldn't normally get to see and then because it's a game you get to actually be in it and interact and do things.
So bringing on a slightly different question, just as like, I don't know if any of us want to call ourselves gamers. There's like so much baggage with that word. But like, do you guys play AAA games as well, or is it just indie games?
Usually just indie games.
Just indie games?
Like that's usually what I look for because I think, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of the games that they do make seem very like personal to the maker. So it's nice seeing like their touch on what their experiences are like, or like how they tell it through those games. And yeah, and I think because I grew up watching all those gameplays, I'm like, yes, give me more. So that's like all I look for now.
What about you? Are you like a big gamer generally, or is it just indie games?
I think I do play like the more mainstream games as well, but like I tend to lean towards the more like smaller group, like when it's like just one or two creators making a game, because like you said, that like personal touch, it feels more genuine when they make those games, because like it feels like they've put more thought and more passion into it, and then you can actually see that being reflected in how like the stories in the game are told. And I like it's kind of just like I prefer the story more than like the actual gameplay most of the time. Like the gameplay just feels like an added thing, but I'm there more for like the story that they're trying to tell.
I can definitely see that. I know that like games are really hard to make and that a lot of people work very hard, but there is something about like the dilution, I guess, of like these big games with thousands of people working on them versus like small things. You're like, well, the small studio knew what they wanted to make, and there's whether it's good or bad, like that's kind of what they wanted. And I know it makes a stronger impact, I think, because of that. We're gonna have to wrap up soon because we've actually been yapping for far longer than I thought. So I have just a quick question: is there any indie games that you guys are looking forward to? We did talk a little bit about Deltarune, but is there anything that you're like, I want to play, or are you guys just like waiting for things to kind of like bubble up and out of YouTube or TikTok, and then you'll go after them?
I think not specific game that I'm looking forward to, but this specific genre of like horror games where you kind of find like like anomalies, like you know what I'm talking about. Like that game is kind of genre is so fun. Like,
you mean like all the SCP games?
Yes, it's very like subtle horror, but then it's very fun to see how many kind of ways they can like kind of make those anomalies, like how creative they can get with that, and how like it's not every time it's a jump scare, but it is very like unsettling or very like creepy in a way. So I love that it is like slowly growing, but I need more because like girl, I've been watching the same few gameplays, so I think it would be nice to see more of that coming up, and again with like smaller, like maybe even smaller groups, or like as an indie game rather than like AAA game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what my Discord history, just to like one of my friends, is just them sending me different SCP games. You know, we're playing this now, and you're like, okay, I guess I gotta buy a copy of it. Like, this is the same friend group I played. What was the? Oh, I've had a brain fart. The big one that came out. Lethal Company. That was the game. That was like it was the same groups. I'm gonna have to cut so much of that crap out.
That's so recent though.
Yeah, no, but I just had a brain fart. But
it's
like,
so fun.
Yeah, but it's the same. We end up playing that together, and then they just send me different ones every week. And as the barrel gets scraped a bit more, they kind of get worse and worse.
That's the fun of that game, though. Like as long as you have like the right people to play with, it's like perfect.
What about you? Did you have an upcoming game that you were looking out for, or maybe just a genre or a vibe that you're like wanting more of?
Yeah, probably Welcome Home. Like, have you guys heard of that? Like, it's an ARG. It's very creepy, and it's made by this one guy called Clown, and it's like this website where multiple things.
Wait a minute.
It's really interesting. They release it in like, I think, every couple of months, and I think the new one's coming up soon. And when it does, you just go on their website, and there's like hidden clues that you have to click through, and you uncover this like secret TV show that has been buried, and like
it's the one that gives like major Sesame Street vibes.
Yeah. It's really cool.
No, that's actually super interesting. I'm gonna have a look at that as well. Slightly off topic, but you all strike me as like Gravity Falls. Like people at least know what Gravity Falls is. They've done a really similar website for like an ARG, like that's recent.
Yeah.
That's like for like the release of a new book, and that bubbled up like parts of like 12-year-old me on like Tumblr, like doing theories, like pulling that part of my character back out. No, that was good. Was there any other games that you guys you were passionately want to talk about, but we haven't had a chance yet? Just before we wrap up.
I think I'm good.
You're good? Was there anything else?
Oh, just like one game which I really like was called the Lake. You play. It's very cozy. You play as a like a post office worker that just goes around this town that's built around a lake delivering mail, and you get to romance with like a couple of the NPCs there, and you learn a little bit about the town, and at the very end you can decide if you want to stay there or you want to go back to the city and be an accountant.
Oh. Instantly. I'm picking the first one.
I don't know why that option's there,
to the city,
but it's there.
Like,
That actually looks super interesting. And also a kind of representation thing about being like queer in small communities and stuff. No, maybe I'll give that one a play as well. Is that out yet, or?
Yeah, it's on PlayStation, I'm pretty sure.
Ooh. Well, my assignments don't matter. It's fine. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me this week. Just before...
oh, sorry.
It's all good. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me this week. Just before we get going, I would like to remind everyone to follow us on our socials, including our Instagram, and give us a follow on Spotify as well. Just letting everyone know that we do have that poll running as well, where you can submit episodes ideas and express your interest to come on the podcast as well. If you don't want to do anything as major as that, just keep an eye out on our Instagram story every Monday or at the start of the week, where we'll post the upcoming week's recordings. All right, thanks, guys.